Hey guys, so I'm finally back with a new Art Addicts Alliance video for the month of December, and I'm a little bit late with mine. This painting took way longer than I thought it was going to, and I've just been dealing with a bunch of things on my plate. You guys might have noticed that I've been kind of MIA recently, and that's just because I've been dealing with a lot of things in my personal life that have been requiring my attention. And I've also been commissioned to do some illustration work. And so all of these things have had to take priority over YouTube, unfortunately. And that's all I can really say about that. I'm very sorry about it, but it'll probably even kind of maybe continue like that for a while. Like, I'll still try to post for the Art Addicts Alliance. I feel like it's low-key helping keeping me on YouTube. But yeah, I hope to change that in the future. However, I want to experiment a little bit more with YouTube. But for me, I know some people might kind of see this like, I guess, laziness, but for me, YouTube is not something that I make my living off of. It's not something that I really make a priority, and that's intentional. My focus tends to be on making art and improving my skills and more recently, like comics and things. So yeah, I just want to kind of put that out there, and that's also a bit of the reason for me being gone so much. We didn't have any Art Addicts Alliance upload for the month of November or October, and I actually did make a piece for September, which you can see on my Instagram, but I never got to posting the video because that's whenever things started going a little haywire for me, and my schedule started to become a lot more unpredictable, and I had to drop a lot of things. I'm really hoping that I can get things more on track going into the new year and being able to manage the way things have changed and so on. So yeah. All right. So like I said, I'm a little late, and we are going to be coming up with our own theme for the month of January, but we are actually now going to start taking suggestions for themes from our viewers. And so for like the month of February and on, we're going to start asking you guys to give us suggestions, and then we'll make a poll from that where you guys can then pick from those themes that were suggested. So yeah, really excited about that. So the theme that won was Constellations. And my first thought was that I had done an Aquarius piece the year before, probably almost exactly a year ago, and of course I could pick from any of the other zodiacs, but I kind of didn't want to just do a zodiac piece because I felt that there was a little bit more wiggle room with this theme than just drawing a zodiac. So I was kind of just sort of riding along a little bit, and whenever I sat down to really think of some concepts, I came up with a couple things, and my first idea was, trying to think of what it was. I don't have my sketchbook in front of me. Okay, I had a couple different ideas actually. All right, one of them was Santa Claus looking at some kind of constellations map, because what got in my head was the idea of people using the stars as a form of navigation. Like sailors used it, and so on. Or even like I remember hearing stories about, like the slaves using like the stars to navigate where they were going and things like that. So that idea really got in my head. So I kind of thought about mixing like Christmas with this, because I'm like, okay, like we're coming up close to Christmas, so this would make sense. Using like Santa Claus looking at some kind of constellations map or something along those lines, because I thought it'd be a very charming idea. Like, okay, this is how Santa gets around, right? And then I kept sketching, and my next idea was these two characters on the deck of a ship looking at a constellations map. And originally they were going to be above deck, like behind like a very starry sky, and they're looking at this map, and it was going to be like a little girl and like an older guy, like maybe the captain of the ship or something, or like a first mate, I don't know. And then for some reason, the idea of like two kids kind of more huddled in this some corner below deck really, like, it just popped into my head. And I just really quickly sketched it out, and it was one of those things where it just kind of clicked, and I made a sketch of it pretty easily. Now in my head, they were probably a little bit more, like kind of concealed, sort of more, there's more of this huddled feeling, I guess, like more hidden away, but that didn't really quite translate over, but I don't think that it turned out bad or anything like that. And so my basic idea, this is kind of open for interpretation, but my basic idea was that these two kids are on this ship, and maybe they're either like, maybe they're looking at this constellations map they have, maybe it's like a secret, maybe they're looking for a better life, maybe they're talking about like running away or something along those lines. And like, especially like with the boy, I kind of wanted to get across the idea that maybe he was like a child laborer or something, so I gave him like a pipe, because you've seen those pictures of like the child laborers, and oftentimes they were smoking pipes or drinking or something like that. So, and I also tried to bring that idea home with like the apron and the gloves or whatever, and then maybe she's just like a captive of some kind, I don't know, or maybe they're not, like, that was just my, basic idea. It's like I said, it's open for interpretation, but I guess they kind of like secretly meet in this place to like talk about their little escape plan while they look at their constellations map. So, and the constellations on this map are just made up. I didn't bother trying to make it more based off of real life. So yeah, which I tried to give a bit of a blue glow to kind of make it look a little magical, I guess. So I did this painting with gouache, and this is probably the most detailed thing I've ever done with gouache, and one of the biggest things I think I learned is that gouache just simply takes patience. I mean, all art takes patience, but compared to the other mediums that I use, this one really does, and gouache really has this ugly phase that you really have to work through. To me, probably one of the biggest learning curves is the fact that, like, you can not only go lighter and darker with gouache, like there's more of a range, you can also go thicker and thinner. And one of the big mistakes I always made with gouache was going too thick too early, so then whenever I would go over that, I'd be pulling up those layers. So it's a lot easier to go thinner first, and then not only increase, like the values, but also like make things a little bit thicker to really build things up. So yeah, that's probably one of the big things I learned, which I learn things about gouache pretty much every time I use it because it has such a strange learning curve. But yeah. So also, I really tried this time whenever it came to the lighting source, which is mainly the lamp. There's a little bit of a glow coming from the map, but it's very small. It's next to non-existent. It basically just lights up a little part of her dress and her hand and his leg and some of his boots and stuff like that. But it's mostly the lantern. I do know that probably some of the shadows would maybe be just a little deeper, or maybe we wouldn't see nearly as much as we do. Like maybe it's a little too well lit. But, you know, that was another thing that I tried really hard to do, was like the farther away everything got was to put a little less detail, a little less polish to, and to let the things more at the forefront, more lit, have more of the contrast and more of the details to really help bring them out, and let things fade into the background, I guess. So yeah, because there's always this urge to like polish things and clean them up a little bit, because, you know, they look not finished, but whenever you zoom out, they really do. So not everything has to be, you know, 100% defined. One of the things I really don't like about the painting is probably their faces. I think their faces don't look quite as good in the final piece, and that's mainly just because I didn't have a small enough brush to get the details in that I wanted, so they ended up looking a little strange. And the brush I used was fraying, so I was like getting like double lines, if you know what I'm talking about, and that was frustrating. But yeah. And another thing that I wouldn't do now that I did was I used a lead pencil to transfer the sketch, because in my mind I was thinking, well, it's gouache, it'll probably get covered over, because, you know, gouache is more thick. And to an extent that's true, but you can still kind of see the pencil lines, especially where the paint is a little bit thinner. So next time I'll probably use something like a coal erase pencil and just make sure it's really sharp, or something like that. Or maybe just a different kind of pencil or something. And there was also the problem where, like, at first I was actually kind of smudging some of the graphite too, which I don't think it made too much of a difference in the final painting. Like, I don't think it mixed with the paint or anything, but probably depending on the kind of pencil, that could be a potential problem. So, yeah, I really don't know what else to say with this. I rather enjoyed doing it, even though this took a really long time. This took, as for, like, the painting itself, it took probably double the amount of time that a painting like this would normally take me, because I did try to take my time and, you know, put in effort the whole way through. But yeah, it took a really long time, and I didn't even really sketch much during this time, so I already feel super rusty. But yeah, so I was kind of hoping that I could get a Christmas video up for Christmas, but I don't know, because it's literally a week away at this point, so I guess we'll see. I also noticed that I didn't do an Alice in Wonderland piece this year, which I do every year, so I'm gonna maybe try to, like, whether I film it or not, I don't know, but I'll probably try to fit that in at least. And yeah, I will probably also, like, the next thing that's probably going to come out is a sketchbook video, the last one for the year, because I have a couple sketchbooks that are almost finished, they're not quite, and I try to be pretty consistent with those, because I know you guys enjoy them, and like I said, I I do want to come back to YouTube, but I don't know exactly when that's going to be. And I also really want to think more about the kind of content that I'm putting out and things like that. Because like I said, my videos are more or less for fun. I don't try to make them super polished or super professional, or anything like that. But I know that I do want to have more varied content away from just having like speed paint videos, but I'm not quite sure what else to do, I guess. Like, I know some people do challenges, but I was like not even sure if that is hot anymore. I don't know. If you guys have any suggestions for like challenges you'd like to see from me, like feel free to tell me, because you know I like suggestions. So yeah, that just about wraps it up. I can't think of anything else to say. Be sure to check out all the other members. Be sure to check out what they created for this theme, and the Facebook will also be linked below. And remember to give us suggestions for themes from here on out, the next one being February. So that's it. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye.